Hello, good morning, my friends. This is Leo Jubilut from Boca Raton, Florida, with today's translation of Ricardo Melo's Drop of Inspiration. And the theme is, what are the parents' role for children with disabilities or special needs? So, hello, my dear friends. Good morning. Good morning. Beginning another day with great joy, a lot of love, and another drop of inspiration. So, what are the parents' role for children with disabilities? Well, before we start, it is any parent's role or anybody else that's raising a children to love, to give the best possible, to give them support, to educate, to guide. That's what God wants us to do to any children. So I know, and it's also from what I understand and conclude from hearing different questions of people that comes to us, it is a great pain for mothers and fathers seeing their children with disability or facing any difficulties. But as I always say, as a father, of course, I know how it works. All fathers and mothers wanted to take the pain away from their children. And I always even say, if I could, I'll take all the pain from my children and transfer it to myself. Isn't it like that with you? I'm sure it is. I'm sure you already said that or you already thought of that. But, it doesn't work like that, right? Unfortunately. But God does not want that. That is not the idea. Everything happens for a reason. And that might be the parent's mission, not only the child. All right, so let's think for a moment. If God allows us with a lot of love and care that we have those beings as our children, it's because there is a necessity of mutual learning. That's extremely important to understand. The spirit that suffers the trial of physical or psychological limitation learns. And that's not pure coincidence, right? You know that. Everything has a reason. And we as parents or anyone who's in charge of playing the role of a parent need to learn, especially to develop the patience. Patience is very important to deal with the frustration in order not to project them into the child or children. To be able to grow spiritually, of course. That is a trial and an invitation to learn. To both learn. That can have and can be done in a light way. I'm sure you understand that. It should be done in a smooth way and not with the usual way people feel about it. It's strange to me sometimes we see and we hear people saying that they have a disabled children or child and they say, "Oh God, my child was born with disability, and this is the end of the world for them." We understand, but this is a bit of an absurd to me. That we even think and make comments like that, especially during the pregnancy. We hear all the time when you ask if the baby's going to be a boy or a girl, parents, usually say, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the baby's healthy. That's another absurd in my opinion because it's like a prejudice comment. And I also say, for God's sake, never say that. We as parents agree that we will never say that. This is an absurd because if the child is to reincarnate, if the child's mission is to reincarnate with a hearing or a visual impairment, for example, wouldn't she or he should be loved the same way? Or if the baby has Down syndrome, what is the problem? I know I already have shared this with you guys before, but I will share it again for those that don't know. For me, this is very clear because I have an autistic sister. My sister, she is a great challenge for our family, but an eternal invitation to the unconditional love, to the meaning of unconditional love. I learned so much from Ryan And I see the love of my mother, of my parents, but especially my mother. That is the one who most care for her, and how she really made us grow. You know, and her disability, that's for sure a spiritual reason for that. It is part of her spiritual growth, or our spiritual growth, my own spiritual growth, my mother, my father, anybody that's in our family that spends time with her. It's all our growth. All right, so and another thing that I like to share is that it is also an invitation for parents to free themselves from the idea of having to resolve their children's problems. Unfortunately, it's not our role. All right, we can definitely live this life in a lighter possible way, but it is extremely important that they feel the atmosphere of love, of unconditional love, in which this can be much more natural. So do not get frustrated because perhaps you cannot solve the matter of your child. It is not like a fever that you can provide just a Tylenol or whatever you give to alleviate the process. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. You are able to use science. When I say science, I mean medication or any form of treatment to alleviate. But it is a process that usually will last this whole existence. And when we're talking about a more severe disability, it not end in as easy, and you need to learn to live with this in a lighter and softer way. So how we do that, right? Let's think about what God wants us to do. So here comes Ricardo again speaking about God. I'll do, because this is how it works. First of all, if you don't do that, the first thing is bring God to your life. That's very basic. And bring God to your home. For example, we always talk about this here. It makes everything a lot easier for everyone. If you bring God to your home, you bring a spiritual hospital to your home. A constant state of light, energy, and healing. So getting back to my sister's story, every day my mother has a worship service in the house. And she participates and feel great about it. This is the most important part as well. And it's interesting to mention that after she started to participate on the worship and the service, although she does not fully understand all the details because of her limitations, the benefits that were brought to her are huge, enormous. So what consequently strengthened my mother and all of us who participates in this process. So take God or gospel or whatever you believe in your God home very early in this process for the children to grow in this peaceful and light environment. For you also to grow and mature yourself. Because one of the things that more frustrate people is exactly to project in their dreams or in their lives what their children are going to be when they grow up, or even before they are born. So people sometimes think that they're going to have a child, the child is going to grow, it's going to go to Harvard, it's going to be a very famous, successful doctor or engineer. And all of a sudden, when we have a baby and we see that the baby has a disability, some parents get immediately frustrated because many of them are not prepared for living with that frustration. So, what is the problem? What is wrong? The problem could be with you, could be genetic, but the most important is the problem is usually in your ego, right? For you to worry about other people, what they're going to say, what they're going to think. This is being very selfish. It is to project in the child a frustration that is yours. Do you understand what I'm talking about? The father or mother or whoever's taking care of this child that gets frustrated due to the difficulties, in fact, are the ones who needs therapy for themselves, so they can be able to treat this child properly. Because love has to be unconditionally. Unconditional love means who loves cares. Who loves makes no distinction if the child has disability or not. Who loves cares. Of course, you can use resources of science, go to the doctor, search for a psychologist or therapy, and depending on the case, you can also use natural or spiritual resources and bring God word to your home, to your daily life, in the tone of your voice, caring, making your great, making the right food, caring for the clothes, and guiding and speaking. Not only saying yes, 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 and sometimes you have to say no, 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 but teaching, protecting, loving. And for what reason? Simply for this soul to pass for this physical experience with all this condition and to recover, to grow spiritually more and more, for when they come back to the spiritual world, they come back with their growth, with no disability, because the spirit, it isn't disabled or doesn't have any conditions. What does, it's our body, our vessel. And it's important to understand that. And everything changes. A disabled person today can be an angel in the next one. And for sure, he or she will be an angel in the future. And maybe us, any of us that judge ourselves superior, we can come disabled next life. You can be the disabled of tomorrow. So just to understand the several experiences that we cannot understand nowadays. So I hope you got the message and you understand. And I just really wish that God protect and inspire you, that we can see all this situation in a natural way. And this process, it's all part of evolution. Many spirits need to pass through this. And for sure, it is not easy. I totally understand that. But if we have the resources we need, especially if you believe that God is behind your back, we will go through that path a lot easier, with less pain, much smoother, and with a lot of love. So if I have to summarize this entire drop with one word, just one word, will be unconditional love. All right? So just reflect on that. May God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful day full of light. And my friends, I see you very soon.